Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Attack the Baseline, a WNBA podcast where every episode we attack our baseline knowledge of the WNBA. We're your hosts, John and Kristen Barber, and today we're back to talk about another team in the W that we've seen a lot over the last couple weeks, the Las Vegas Aces. An absolute roller coaster of a franchise right now, and there's much to say about every player on the team. So before we get into all of that, Kristen, how are you?
I'm good, John. I feel like I'm still recovering. We had a very fun weekend in Baltimore with some of our friends. We went to an Orioles game, and it was so hot, and I felt very dehydrated, and I still feel very dehydrated. I woke up and had to drink a huge glass of water at 4 a.m. this morning. So drink water. Yes. Stay safe out there.
Stay hydrated.
It's hot.
It is very hot, especially here in Philadelphia and in Baltimore. So, yeah, I get it. You're recovering. We're watching some W today. We're getting caught up on some things that we missed, particularly the Golden State versus Las Vegas Aces game yesterday, the 104-102 finish that we're going to talk about later on in this pod. But exciting hoops. We actually just watched Paige versus Caitlin for the first time since that Iowa-UConn matchup all those years ago. So that was interesting as well. But again, we're not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about the Las Vegas Aces and all the things that they've been going through. But before we get into that, if you'd like to send us an email and let us know how you're feeling about your team or about the league in general or about this upcoming All-Star weekend, you can do so at our email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com, or connect with us on Bluesky, Instagram, TikTok at ATBPod. And if you'd be so kind as to leave a 5-star rating and review on whatever platform it is that you use to listen to us to help us grow the show, that would be greatly appreciated. So now let's get into the show. We're just talking Aces today. Whatever kind of flows off the dome. Over the last couple weeks, we've watched 5 Aces games. We're not necessarily going to go game for game. We're kind of going to go player for player here, how we've been doing it the last couple times that we've done some of these different teams. But high level view, since we started watching them on the 3rd, as we turned the calendar to July, the Aces were 2-3 and went through a number of struggles. Asia Wilson obviously was hurt for a portion of the week, and it was kind of looking pretty dire. But they end the week on a high note with a nice win over Golden State, their first 100-point game of the season. So, ups and downs. How are you feeling about the Aces at this point in time? As they're still on the outside of the playoff hunt in the 9 seed right now, behind Washington.
Yeah, I really do not know. I mean, it's clearly worse than everyone expected. Coming into the season, I had them number 4. You had them ending 2nd. We're nowhere close to that.
No.
People were... It was to be seen what would happen with Jewel. And I guess, people really thought that Jewel was going to make a huge impact on this team, but she really has been struggling. I don't know, compared to every other team, but it seems like the Aces have had at least close to the most amount of transactions. They've been waiving people. They had a trade in Alyssa Smith. They're trying. They are receiving lots of criticism from their coaching staff, from their head coach. Who's clearly upset.
Trying to figure out how to turn the engine on, as she says.
Yeah. So, and going back a little bit further than July 3rd, when we, really tuned in, they lost to the Mystics again right before that. So they've lost to the Mystics twice in the past 2 weeks, who is a team you need to be beating.
Right. If you want to make the playoffs, you need to beat that 7-8 bubble team in Washington, because right now Washington's the team that's directly above you.
Yep.
And you lose 2 to Washington in 6 games.
Yeah, so it's like been really rough in Las Vegas.
That it has been. And, you know, you mentioned just now all the number of changes that were made. You know, since we started watching them on the 3rd, they make that trade for Nalissa Smith. They had Joyner Holmes on the team. Joyner Holmes is no longer on the team. In the game that they won yesterday against Golden State, they had a 10-player roster, and they played only 9 of said 10 players. So Kristen Bell on the outside looking in, Kia Stokes played only 3 minutes, and Nalissa Smith, who they traded a first-round pick for, only played 9.5 minutes. So I think there's going to be a lot of question marks to discuss later on when we get into these specific teams. But it's clear to me that Vegas is continuing to try to figure it out. We're 21 games into the season. We have 23 to play. They have one of the tougher strength of schedules. There was a strength of schedule graphic that I saw that we reposted on our Bluesky. And I believe they have the 4th or 5th hardest schedule remaining. They play some tough teams, and they're losing to teams that we expect them to beat. So the likelihood at this moment in time that the Aces end up outside of the playoffs is very possible. It's very possible, which you could not have made me think before all this, when we were so excited about Chelsea Gray coming off of Unrivaled, when we were wondering, you know, is the KP for Jewel Lloyd swap an equal thing? Is it going to be like the similar effect? Clearly not. Are we to be excited about Elizabeth Kitley and some of these other, you know, deep bench question marks? Some of these players aren't on the team anymore. So they still have 2 open roster spots right at this moment. There's Cheyenne Parker-Tyus, who at this point, by the time she gets back, if the team doesn't start winning, then it might not even be worth the weight that they had on that.
I mean, I'm sure she would be helpful if she were here.
Oh, absolutely.
But if I were her, I'd be like, I could keep sitting out.
Right. What did I sign up for here?
Right.
Yeah. It's crazy. And of course, part of the problem with that is the way that they structure their contracts and the way that they are, you know, they were precisely up on the salary cap to the dollar with the way that they were constructed when we did the team composition pod all those weeks back. And, you know, like we said, some of those players aren't there. Some of those players are tough to waive because they're on guaranteed contracts. Your Kristen Bells, your Kia Stokeses, who are on the, you know, back end or out of the rotation, but you can't really make a move. And they're not players that other teams necessarily want to trade for. So it gets you in this position where you're relying on really Asia, Jackie, Jewel, Chelsea, and then you're hoping that your 5th, 6th, 7th, sometimes 8th players are enough to win the day, and it just hasn't been the case.
Yeah. No, it's very much a case of the starting 4, the starting 3 is elite in Asia, Jackie, and Chelsea.
Right.
Jewel is, I think, getting there. She had a better couple games these past 2 games. That's good.
It's certainly good. She's starting to, I feel like she's now starting to hit the shots.
Yeah. But your 5th, it just so drops off from there. And like Megan Gustafson came back this week.
Yeah.
She played her first game after being hurt the whole beginning of the season. So hopefully that can ramp things up too, not make you so dependent on Kia Stokes.
Yeah.
We're going to have to see. It's a big drop off after the top 3.5.
Yeah. Right. And you 3.5. And yeah, they just need to find ways to let those players almost separately cook at times, because I still feel like there's such a lack of identity for this team that has been so good over the past 4 years. Like, Asia is the reigning MVP, and I think she's where we can start when we're talking about players here. She, just yesterday against Golden State had 34 points and 16 rebounds, a very heroic performance for her when she was just coming off of what people feared was a fractured wrist. She looks like the wrist isn't bothering her, and they needed all that A'ja could give them, and they're going to continue to need all that A'ja can give them. I think I just want to start with her. It still feels like there's so many times where it's just like A'ja and nobody.
Yeah. And even A'ja, looking at her stats compared to last year, like she's averaging 5 less points, 3 less rebounds.
Yeah. Yeah, the rebounding is definitely dropped. And I don't really even know what the driver is there. Because, like, I guess Jewel is a better rebounder than KP, but, to the point that, like, Asia's out of position, I don't know.
I mean, A'ja she's shot some threes. She's attempted some threes. I guess she's trying to play further away from the basket. But when Kia Stokes was not being helpful, that's really like, you shouldn't be doing that then. So perhaps Megan Gustafson can help in that regard. But yeah, in general, A'ja, I mean, she's still playing incredibly.
Yeah.
She still so impresses me. Anytime she like drives to the basket, she's so good at just shooting in general. I continue to be impressed by the whistle that she gets, because I totally believe that it's happening. I just don't see it happening, of all these defenders continuously hitting her. I'm sure it is happening. And then she gets to the line and she's shooting the free throws. So that, I mean, she's the reigning MVP. She's incredible. But yeah, a lot of times it's A'ja and no one else is helping her.
Right. And, regarding her whistle, what you mentioned, I have seen I see some mentions online sometimes that she can be a bit of a free throw merchant. Given my affinity for Joel Embiid, my love for my favorite player on the Philadelphia 76ers, a player that gets a very similar, if not almost exactly the same whistle to A'ja, I can understand. I can't understand why people would call her a free throw merchant, because she's getting fouled.
Yeah.
She's taking bodies into the paint. She's lowering the elbow. She's making a move, and they're touching her hand when she goes up to shoot the shot. And like, nobody does it better when A'ja gets that short shot to fall after the foul, the and ones. Nobody has more energy than A'ja after she gets an and one. She is always, her body's like fully shaking and she's pumping both arms. It is amazing. You could make a collaboration, a video sample of just the 7 or 8 and ones that she had over the 5 games that we watched, and I think it would be brilliant. Like, just seeing how emotive she gets, how she clearly is giving a crap despite, where the team is right now. She's not phoning it in. If some people would want to argue that, I don't think that's the case. And yeah, she gets to the line and she's shooting very well from the line. She's converting those free throws and she's scoring because somebody has to score. She also is very effective in when she, and you actually said this too, because you're saying that she's playing further back. She's attempting some threes. She has this move that is very much similar to Joelle, where she does this little pump fake and she gets the defender to bite on the pump fake, and then it clears the lane and she just drives and she scores. And you would think that she's not going to shoot the 3, but by doing a little bit more shooting of the 3 in parts of this season, she's getting players to bite on that. And she's making it easier on herself because they clear the way for you to steamroll and get right to the hoop. It is kind of crazy how her scoring is down 5 points from last year, but I do still think that she is all WNBA talent. She's not the concerns of like if she's falling off, I don't think are warranted. She's just getting started. And really, if the other players on her team start to click eventually in the second half, then maybe the Aces do start to creep up the standings a little bit.
I will say she is playing 4 less minutes this year.
Okay.
So for
and she's
whatever
had
reason,
injury too.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever reason, she is playing less, so that contributes to less points.
Of course.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com and use code AUDIO at checkout.
Where do you want to go next? Who do you want to talk about after this?
I do want to talk about Jackie, because I think Jackie also continues to be incredibly good.
The other All-Star.
Correct. She is so good at just driving through defenders. She's so strong. She just pushes right through them all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And she is the best free throw shooter on the team. I think 91%.
That feels right. She's automatic.
And she got them the win in the Valkyries game. She was fouled 3 times at the end of the game, and she made all 6 free throws. And if she missed even 2 of them, they would have lost. They could have easily lost that game. So, I mean, Jackie in certain points of these other games, it was Jackie doing everything.
Right.
So it's Asia and Jackie are the 2 MVPs of this team.
Right. Well, I feel like that is what they wanted, what they thought was going to happen when you move on from KP. I think they said, okay, it's time for Jackie to not be the 4th offensive option. It's time for her to be the 2nd offensive option.
Yeah, it's totally working.
And you're right. Well, it's working. It's working, but it's also not working because the team's not winning as much as
she's
they did
stepping
before.
up. Jackie is doing her job.
Yes. And, this is her fourth straight All-Star team that she makes, which is an accomplishment for a young player. You said it, like her ability to get through defenders on those drives. Sometimes she can get through defenders and be tough and be strong, but also other times she can just be like a snake and she can just slither through and nobody even touches her. There's so many times where she gets completely unchecked going through 3 defenders just to make an easy lay. And you're like, damn. Or sometimes she turns on the Jets and she slips right by all the way around the defense and just to get an easy lay. But she can finish on either side. And it's almost a shame that part of this week for her is kind of marred by that missed layup that she had at the end of the Mystics game. Just from the high level of that game, the Aces go into that second half up 15, and then they blow a 15-point lead to Washington, who we've already mentioned multiple times on this pod, a team that is very good playing from behind and that you kind of can't let stay in the game. But, it was 70-68 and Jackie had a clear shot at the basket and she misses the layup by, only a couple inches when normally she's making that shot. So it was kind of a rough look for her in that case, but otherwise she has been way better than she was even last year when she was, again, an all-star. Now she's taking a step up. And, if I had my wits about me, I think the Aces are going to prioritize making sure that they keep those 2 players, Asia and Jackie, and then figure out everything after that and rebuild elsewise. And I also think that, looking at some of Jackie's numbers, her 3-point shooting is only at 30%. Right now. She's not hitting her threes when that's been one of her best offensive tools. I mean, 2 years ago, she was at 44% from 3 on the same volume, 5 threes per game. And when we talk about her replacing Kelsey Plum, a player that shot somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 to 8 threes a game, if you're expected to be some of that, then if you're not hitting your threes, then the offense is not performing at the same level that it was last year when she was doing that. And, I do think there's a pretty considerable amount of pressure on Jackie, and something that she is taking in stride, but it may have been part of the reason why this first half of the season hasn't gone the way that the Aces expected it to.
Well, I don't necessarily think that's because of Jackie.
No, I'm just saying that, still the burden is on her.
I think it's on her because other players aren't taking any of it away from her. Other players are giving her this burden because they're struggling.
Segue, right? Hop on the Segue with me. Where are we going?
Okay. Well, I don't know. I guess we can just talk about Jewel.
Okay. Let's talk about Jewel.
Okay. I wish I did have a graph of Jewel's points per game. Just in these past 5 games, Jewel against Indiana had 2 points. Against Connecticut had 3. Against the Liberty had 10. Then she had 20. Then she had 15. So these past 3 games have been better.
Yes. She's starting to see an upswing.
She's starting to ramp it up. I do think there's some sort of formula that the team is really trying, which is Jewel standing in the corner, Chelsea passing it to her, and she theoretically makes a 3.
Yes.
This happened twice in the past 5 games. It was successful.
Only twice. It was probably more than that.
At least that I remember.
Sure.
But there were also many times that it wasn't successful, but they still are trying it.
Yeah.
And a couple times where Chelsea, chucks it over to Jewel and she's open, but then she throws it to someone else. So I feel like in that sense, she's also getting in her head. I'm sure she is.
Oh, absolutely. Has to be.
My one side is if you listen to her podcast, it doesn't seem like it. She's just very so positive on her podcast. And because the guy who she talks to is such a hype man, which good. I mean, your friends should hype you up. But I'm sure this has gotten in Jewel's head that she is just performing much worse than she expected or the team expected. She is scoring 8.7 points lower than last year. Just missing. She's getting looks. She's just missing.
Right. I mean, she's shooting. She's actually, her 3-point shooting has been better. And I think part of that is because they're trying to prioritize getting her open looks.
Yeah.
And in this case, open looks in the corner where she must have a hot spot. She's at 37% from 3. I mean, yeah, which that's is pretty decent.
Yeah.
And she's at 38% on 2s because she doesn't really drive. She'll drive a little bit. She doesn't really drive. She kind of lets the driving go to Asia, lets the driving go to Jackie, lets the driving go to Chelsea, who kicks to her. She's prioritizing the 3 ball, 5.5 attempts per game. And now that they're starting to fall at a little better clip because she was well under 30 at early on in the season here, that is going to help you see these numbers get a little bit better.
Yeah.
And if that's the way her game has to be, then that's the way her game's going to have to be. Because I don't think they trust the mid-range a ton. There are far too many times this season where I feel like Jewel has just been completely invisible to me. And not, admittedly, we do not have the breadth of knowledge about Jewel Lloyd's storied career that has been very good over the last decade. But from the sample size that we've seen, she's starting to regress a little bit. And that doesn't mean that her career is anywhere near over. But when they made this move, they were expecting better results from her, and she has still yet to meet those results. And again, that doesn't mean that she will eventually not meet those results, but I think it's fair for us to be critical, at least a little bit, on what we're seeing. And it's good to see that her scoring is increasing a little bit.
It is.
But, you know, if you cut out all these 2-point games, these 3-point games, and get yourself back into 15-point per game scorer like we know you have been historically, then the team's going to be performing much better.
Yeah.
You know, and I know we know plenty of fans, big fans of Jewell Loyd in our friend group, and I want to respect where she is in Vegas, and I want it to work out because, again, the pressure, the same pressure that we talked about that's on Jackie Young, there's a ton of pressure on Jewell Loyd.
The only thing that, you know, kind of stinks about Jewell getting hot right now is that they're about to go to the All-Star break. So they have one game this week, and then they have a whole week off. Jewell won't be playing in the All-Star game. So I'm assuming, you know, she'll be in the gym, she'll be practicing, but it's just she's finally reaching this momentum point, and now they have a whole week off where she's not going to be playing with the team.
Yeah, it is tough. Just the timing of it all. A decent bit of momentum going her way, shots falling, her 3-point percentage, of course, starting to creep up. That, yeah, it's going to be completely on her to make sure that she's in the gym getting shots up, getting shots to go in the hoop, because typically she would be at an All-Star game, but this year she is not. So she's going to have to do whatever it takes to stay that way as they continue to incorporate her into this team. Why don't we shift gears and talk about Chelsea Gray, the point guard, a player that we loved following in Unrivaled. We've talked about her Unrivaled run a ton on this pod. We talked about how good she was and how it was cool for us to see, considering she spent most of the year last year hurt, and we didn't really know her the way that, you know, people that have a better experience following Chelsea know her. And we feel like we really saw that in Unrivaled. And now her numbers to start this year are kind of, you know, so-so.
Yeah, and I really think, like, maybe it's just on us, the super high expectations, at least I had, for Chelsea Gray coming into this season. I think a lot of people did. Just how incredible she was in 3-on-3 in Unrivaled. Obviously, that's very different from 5-on-5. You know, less defenders and whatever. But she was just so good. So I was just thinking that's going to carry over, and Chelsea Gray is going to, like, lead this team to another championship. Like, you can't bring her down. And it's just not that she's having a bad year,
Right.
necessarily. It's just not the same as it was in Unrivaled, which is fair. And, you know, that's on me, I guess, for just having, like, such high expectations.
I mean, it really shows you the way that Unrivaled sort of made Chelsea Gray this number one option, which is not really a role that she plays. It's a role that she can play. And, you know, when we think about the idea of the aces in the playoffs, Chelsea Gray certainly boosts her game to a point where she, on a given night, can be, you know, number one, number two option. But right now, as it fits on this team, she's, you know, third, maybe fourth option on a given night, and very much not doing what she was doing basically the entirety of Unrivaled when she was that number one option for the Rose Basketball Club. You know, the thing that seems to be the case for Chelsea this year is, you know, a bit of a dip in assists, a bit of an increase in turnovers. Obviously, that kind of comes as a result of the team not knocking down shots. Obviously, she's able to, as we talked about with Jewell, draw defenders and get Jewell an open look. If Jewell doesn't knock down that shot, then Chelsea doesn't get the assist. And, you know, there were moments in time in some of the games that we watched this week where she threw the ball away, and I've kind of been critical, especially in these 5 games, about the general flashiness in her passes. I do still believe that she's the best passer, the most gifted passer in the entire league. However, there are certain times where she can try to do that flashy no-look pass or that over-the-top pass, and it ends up either careening off of a player's hands, or they're not prepared for it and it goes out of bounds, or a defender gets their hand up. Like, sometimes I feel like, at least in this sample size that we followed, it would have just been easier to take whatever the easy pass was instead of trying so hard for the flashy pass. And those flashy passes work. They often have. However, your team is not 16-4. They're 9-11. You need to just get wins, and you don't necessarily need to go overboard when you're only up by a few points. If they were leading some of these games by 15, 20 points, then yeah, go ham, go Sports Center mode. But like, sometimes the flashy plays can kind of come back to bite them.
Yeah, I would say, I guess last year was just kind of a weird year because she was hurt for half the year. But looking back to 2022 and 2023, her stats, yeah, she is down 2 to 3 assists this year compared to those years. She is up in turnovers. So, and she's down a little bit in points. She's, making about 3 points less, 3 to 4 points less. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a down year for Chelsea, but I don't think a lot of that is her fault. She was in foul trouble some of these games, so that was hindering her. She did have a couple good steals, like noticeable steals that I thought were good.
Yeah.
But with Chelsea, like, so much of her game is passes. It depends on your other teammates.
Right. What's her assists at right now? Like 4.5 or something like that?
4.3.
Okay.
Where in 2023 it was 7.3.
Yeah. I mean, in that Valkyries game, she had 6 assists. So really, I mean, if you asked me how many assists do you think that Chelsea averages or is averaging right now, I would think that she's closer to 6. I honestly kind of surprised looking at the average at floating around the mid 4. Like, I'm not perceiving that when I watch these games. But, circumstances are different. So if the team can sort of continue to follow and get a couple more wins, and if the shots start to fall for, Jackie, who's a 30% three-point shooter right now, who's typically in her mid 40s or low 40s, if she starts to knock those shots down, that's going to be Chelsea's bread and butter. That's the drive, the kick. She knows how to do that. And if the shots fall, the assists will go up, and it'll be, more career numbers for Chelsea Gray. But as it stands right now, those just really aren't, what we're seeing right now, which is par for the course with this team, really, as total.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com and use code AUDIO at checkout.
So now we're left with the 5th spot of the starting lineup.
Right.
Kia Stokes started most of the year. However, I think she has not been particularly effective. Now, John, you said in the preview pod that we did for the Aces that Kia Stokes does not need to be a scoring
I
player.
did say that.
How do you feel now?
Well, it's certainly the number of goose eggs in the points column for Kia Stokes throughout this season has been a little concerning for me. Probably more than a little concerning for me. I thought about when I watched Kia Stokes last year that she was just a park it in the corner and a capable corner 3 shooter. That does not seem to be the way that she has operated this season. It's kind of just, don't even bother getting the ball to Kia. It's let's run it through the other 4. And, if Kia's lucky, she kind of will get an O board and maybe a tip in or something like that. But I mean, really, if you had to ask me how many points she's averaging, is like 2.5?
1.9.
Oh my goodness.
Which is actually better than last year.
Which is pretty surprising. I would say pretty surprising. It was very surprising, honestly.
1.4 to 1.9.
Wow. And yeah, it's...
But look, I will say when they won the championships in 2022 and 2023, she was scoring 2.3 points, 2.2 points.
Right.
So correct. She does not need to be the primary scoring option, really any scoring option at all.
Right.
But I think she really has taken a step back in terms of defense.
Right. And her primary accolades, when you look at Kia Stokes, you see that she was an all-rookie player in 2015. And she was an all-defensive second team in 2015. So defense is the primary reason why Kia Stokes is on the court. It's not about the offense. The numbers suggest that. So yes, I do agree with past me that said, oh, she doesn't have to do anything on offense. But when the team loses so many games and you're not getting anything out of that spot, and you're getting less out of the other spots than you were expecting, then it might be more helpful to have a more talented offensive player, which is why I believe that they trade for NaLyssa Smith. They trade a first-round pick for NaLyssa Smith. And, I feel like they're already starting to question where NaLyssa Smith is in the rotation, and I do not believe that's a good look. They cannot put her on the back burner. In the Valkyries game, 9.5 minutes for NaLyssa Smith is... they get the win. So sure, they get the win. But if that starts to become a trend where she's not playing, 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes at minimum, then I would be very concerned with, what is Becky doing? If she has the right to make these moves and you're not ending up not moving, not using them, why didn't you go trade for Learu? Why didn't you keep your powder dry and make another move? Because you knew Meg was coming back soon. We're going to talk about Meg. But I believe in NaLyssa Smith as a talented young player that they could potentially build around if that's what they see. The jumper is there. The jumper is slow. Her ability in the paint is decent. She has at least a considerable amount more offensive juice than a Kia Stokes does. But still the question is, how can NaLyssa learn to, attempt to anchor a defense with the rest of these teammates? I don't know. I think there are moments where she's still very much trying to figure it out. And this was a surprise to her. We talked about that trade and how she was not expecting to be traded to Vegas. So I think she's working through a lot of things. But I think you just have to believe in NaLyssa Smith at least more than you do in Kia Stokes, maybe.
No, I definitely think they do, and they should. And I do think NaLyssa Smith is an upgrade in Kia Stokes in that, she's been scoring in the double digits in these past few games. She had a double-double in the game against Connecticut with rebounds, which at least Kia Stokes should be getting more rebounds. At least that's not really happening. So I do think NaLyssa Smith is an upgrade in that sense. So it's good that they did that. But yeah, giving up a first round pick and now she's only playing 9 minutes is definitely concerning.
Right.
Perhaps they weren't sure when Megan Gustafson was going to come back, but Meg came back this week. She played in 2 games. She was, fine. She was a little rusty. She got into some foul trouble, but she was there. She was trying to defend. So at least now the two of them will kind of be vying for this starting spot, I think. NaLyssa was starting the past few games of the week over Kia, but now with Meg back, we'll see. Meg might be starting.
Right. And, and the reason we see in this Valkyries game that Meg, probably also for 3-point shooting, because that's the skill that Meg is better at than the other two, by a considerable margin. I think they just need to ramp her up. They need to give her a lot of minutes, I say. They need to give her solid 20 plus so that she can get into game shape because she hasn't played basketball in a while. But I think, if I had my wits about me, they ideally want Meg to be that starting five because they protected her or at least we would expect that they had protected her in the expansion draft. Obviously, we don't know for sure, but the fact that she's on the team sort of suggests that she probably would have been a Valkyrie if she was available to be selected. Like I said, she can shoot. I think she's a pretty okay passer, especially down there on the baseline. I think that's what they want to make work. I think ideally for them, it's a rotation of Meg and Nalissa splitting time at the 5. Sometimes you're going to play Asia at the 5 too, depending on what situations arise. And then if you need like a specialty defensive play, then you get Kia in there to do her thing. But you can rely more on the offensive end with Nalissa and Meg. And I think it's going to be paramount that they figure out what the true best 5 is with this team. Because, they have 10 spots on this roster. There's still 2 openings. Could they sign another big? What happens when Cheyenne Parker-Tyus comes back? Potentially, if she comes back. Like, what does that look like? But really, they're going to be very focused on figuring out the difference between Meg and Nalissa and when that works with this team. So I'm glad Meg's back. Pancake time.
Yes, me too.
But the fouls are going to be there because she hasn't played in a while. So it might take her a little bit to get up to speed, but promising that she ends up getting a win in that game against Golden State.
Yes. So these things are shifting in their favor.
Right.
Meg coming back, Jewel starting to get hot.
Mm-hmm.
The second half of the season could be totally different.
And that it could. It could. Well, and because they do have other rotation pieces here that we should also briefly talk about here. Dana Evans, Aaliyah Nye. You've been pretty effusive in praise for Dana Evans.
Yes.
In that game that they lost to Washington the other night by 2, Dana Evans led the team in plus minus. Obviously, single game plus minus, you can hem and haw about it, but she was a plus 14 in a 2-point game for this team. She clearly made a significant role in that game. She was a double-digit scorer. Her mid-range has looked really nice. I was very impressed. She had multiple and ones in games that we watched today, or games that we watched this week. So I feel like I didn't really know the Dana Evans of old when we first started paying attention last year. Chicago Sky Dana Evans kind of just was blending into the background character for me. I would often mix her up with Lindsay Allen whenever we were watching games in Chicago. And I really need to, there's that Shaq meme of I'm sorry, I apologize, I wasn't familiar with your game. I very much feel that way about Dana Evans. And she deserves some respect on her name because she has been a very capable guard. And I was very questioning of that trade that they made to bring her to this team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also was not, very familiar with Dana Evans. I didn't really keep up with her last year on Chicago. I mean, she's not leading the team in points by any means. She's scoring 6.5 points a game. But I think she has been a great role player off the bench for them. Mm-hmm. She is young. She's only 26.
Yeah.
She has a lot of energy, which is something that was lost when Kelsey Plum left. Mm-hmm. And it's a good change of pace when she's coming off the bench and, kind of balancing out Nalissa, Asia, who are not sprinting up the court. So I think she has been honestly super good. She just gives them that burst when they need it. Mm-hmm. And I'm very full of praise for her.
Yeah. I mean, just generally helpful. There are moments where they were running the offense through her. Mm-hmm. Chelsea, maybe one of those turnovers happens and then Becky goes to, let Dana be the lead point guard for a couple plays, and capable ball handler, decent shooter. She's got, a decent package. And yeah, 26 is could be a nice hit if they decide to keep her long term going into this offseason. But yeah, honestly, nothing but good things to say about Dana Evans, which is kind of funny because we've been so critical about so many of these other players. Dana Evans, no problems there.
No. Also, really no problems with Aaliyah Nye. I think she was a great pick by the Aces at the top of the second round this year. I mean, she's a pretty good shooter. She's also been great off the bench. She's getting a lot of minutes. So I do think they really trust her and believe in her and want her to keep developing. I am a little bit concerned because we really don't know what the rules are going to be for this expansion draft coming up because last year they protected 6 players and it was 1 team. Now it's 2 expansion teams. So I really could see them only protecting 5, which, like, do they protect these younger players that they have in Aaliyah Nye, Dana Evans? I don't know. And then I'm sure someone will take them because there's really no other options. And like this is kind of what happened last year with Kate Martin. They didn't protect Kate. Kate got scooped up and now Kate is like killing it in Golden State.
Killed them almost. Like, was bringing it to them.
Yeah. So like I do think they found something good in Aaliyah Nye and they might just get kind of screwed with this expansion draft. In a way, you know, they get screwed because of that. But also like they have gotten either their first round picks taken away because of investigations or they are making questionable trades and trading away their first round picks. So they like just don't have any other like very young talent at this point.
Right.
Which is their fault, not the league's fault. So I am hopeful for Aaliyah Nye. I think she has great promise and they like her, but I just am concerned that she will not be on this team next year.
Yeah, I think it would be short-sighted to not protect her. Like, obviously, even if it ends up being 5, you kind of just gotta leave one of these other, you know, past all-stars unprotected. Like, you kind of have to. Like, I believe you gotta give yourself a little bit of financial spacing, I guess. If you're, you know, like we suggested, maybe gonna just build around Asia and Jackie, you need to have a good quality role player who, and I believe in Aaliyah Nye could be next year a 6th player of the year caliber player. You know, she's a safety valve. She is a very quality, like last minute end of shot clock 3-point shooter, decent driver, has decent size already. But I kind of have to commend Becky in the front office for making this selection at 13 when we were kind of like on draft night, who the heck is this? And they said, let's go find a prolific 3-point shooter in college coming out of Alabama. She had a record for the school of the most threes made, I believe. I think it was most threes. And that has been her WNBA skill since joining the team. But I just think she shows that she has a little bit more and she's not just a one-trick pony. So invest in the future because you're not doing it in so many other ways. But like Aaliyah Nye is right here and she's good. Don't throw it away. So I like, congratulations, Aaliyah Nye, that you found yourself a spot in this rotation where other players have fallen off. But like, they can't have another situation like they did with Kristen Bell, who's been on this team for 4 years. And most people I see online talking about Kristen Bell say she didn't develop at all. And that's why people are so quick to say, why is she on this team? Because they didn't necessarily give her opportunity to do that. So you can't have the same thing happen with Aaliyah Nye. And I would hope that they know that.
I would hope.
But this team is critical about a lot of things.
Is that your segue?
I think the last thing we should talk about is how Becky handled the loss to the Fever the other day. You were very critical about her post-game rant, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So the game against the Fever, beginning of July, right after the Fever win the Commissioner's Cup. So like, clearly this Fever team, although Caitlin has been out, they've been struggling in terms of record. They are a team that should be taken seriously. So we watched this game after the fact, after I'd already heard Becky Hammond's kind of rant about how the team brought no energy. So I was looking at this game, watching for these players having no energy. And I really just don't think that was what happened. I don't agree with her. I think Asia hustles like crazy.
Always.
Dana Evans, Aaliyah Nye, these young players are always hustling and running. Like Chelsea was in foul trouble, so she was taking a step back.
Sure.
But like, you kind of have to. You're not trying to foul out of the game.
Right.
So like, they are hustling. They have energy. To me, it seemed like they had energy, just their shots weren't falling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like something that happened in the middle of the game was they switched from one-on-one defense to zone defense. And it ended up working much better.
At least for, a decent burst.
Right. So like that was like a strategic thing that Becky did that worked in their favor. So I do not think that it was because of their energy. And I just really think that it's offensive to these players to tell them, we lost, we keep losing because you don't have energy. And like, when I don't think that that's true, that's not what I'm seeing with my eyes. And I really think that the burden falls more on her and on the coaching staff to come up with a plan to beat this team who like is just faster than you and at this point better at shooting threes than you, like better at a lot of things than you are. So like, you have to come up with a plan to beat them.
Right.
And like other teams have done that obviously throughout the season. So like, to me, it was just a lack of strategy, and it made me very upset that she's like calling out these players and telling them they're lazy essentially, and like, we keep losing because you have no energy, when I don't think that that's true.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can kind of put a thesis statement on this podcast about how multiple members of the Aces organization are under pretty massive stress burdens, like for different reasons. And one of what I think that includes Becky Hammond. And I'm not giving her a get out of jail free card. I don't agree with the things that she said in that press conference. I completely agree with what you said. But she's a coach and she's a GM. She manages the team. She coaches the team. She makes the picks. She makes the trades. She signs off on the trades. All that stuff. We are still in a timeline where there's no other GM on this team. And, coach GMs are a thing, have been a thing, but like, maybe it would be pretty nice to take a step back and focus on scheme for a little bit and let somebody else cook up. And I'm sure there's other members of the front office that do other things and explore other options and explore trades, but like, that should not be on your platter right now.
Right. When the team is performing much worse than everyone thought, like, maybe you need to just focus on one thing and get more help.
Right. So as a whole, there are many things that the Aces need to continue to fix at this midpoint mark. If your gut, where does your gut say that they end up? End of the season. Do you think they're in the playoffs?
I think they make the playoffs at the bottom of the list. So like 7 or 8. So they move up a little bit, I guess. And I think once they get to the playoffs, like, Asia's going to go demon mode. Chelsea knows how to win in a playoff. So like, they maybe could go on a little run and give a top team a little run for their money. They've been there before. They know how to win. But yeah, I think they make the playoffs because I think they know how much of a bad look it will be if they don't.
It would be really bad.
But yeah, I don't see them going very far.
Yeah. But it's hard to hold it against the reigning MVP in Asia Wilson. Like, she could be the sole reason that they end up getting over the hump here and then making noise come the fall when it's playoff time. So bit of a tenuous situation in Las Vegas. I think we're hopeful that some of these players can start to turn it around and that things can be better on the outlook. But you're going to have to catch up to Washington because Washington continues to stay hot. And obviously there are other options to like get you into that playoff, but the schedule is still going to be difficult. You're going to have to figure something out. And I know that's what they've been trying to do, but like, I don't know what it is going to be. They're going to have to pull the rabbit out of the hat, I guess, to put it in Vegas terms because they have that rabbit mascot, right? I think. Anyway, I think that'll do it for our coverage of the Las Vegas Aces here. Again, if you'd like to reach out, just send us an email. You could do so. attackthebaseline@gmail.com or connect with us on Bluesky, Instagram, TikTok @ATBPod. 5-star rating and review on whatever platform it is that you listen to. And I'm very excited that we have All-Star Weekend right around the corner. Kristen, are you excited for Friday and Saturday's events?
I'm so excited. I love the All-Star game. Even in the NBA where they don't, try as hard as they could, it's still fun to me to see the best players playing with and against each other. I think that's very fun. I'm very excited. I'm trying to find a watch party in Philly. I hope that there's one. Not sure where it is yet, but we'll be there if I can find it.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to it. Sabrina's in the 3-point contest. That's interesting. I don't think she has been the past couple of years. Obviously, Alicia Gray better be defending her double titles. So I'm gassed up for that. And yeah, I just think it's going to be a good competitive All-Star game and All-Star weekend. So looking forward to that, bringing you some coverage on that as it comes through. And I think that'll do it. Tomorrow, as you're listening to this, is Portland Day. So be on the lookout. I'm going to be posting a lot on Bluesky about, our friend of the pod, Matthew, is going to be live at Portland Reveal Day or whatever there is. There's going to be guests. He said he's going to do some boots on the ground reporting. So I'm hoping to bring some of that, at least on our Bluesky, and looking forward to seeing whatever big announcements they have about the branding and what's coming in Portland in potentially 2026, maybe 2027, who knows? But Kristen, that's going to do it for our show. I am staring at the baseline. What are we going to do?
Attack it.
Attack the baseline. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back soon with more WNBA content.